So there might be some background noise. I'm just doing dishes and my little guy is running around and stuff, so don't mind that. Hopefully you can still hear me. So this message shouldn't be too long. I always say that and then it is. So maybe I just shouldn't say that. What the Lord was telling me, he was saying that one thing that all chosen ones have in common is, I didn't know this, but I have this, and God was saying that this is something he's given to all his chosen ones. And I've heard other chosen ones kind of speak on this before too, but not specifically, right? But God is saying that one of the unique characteristics about his chosen ones is that they have like a, I don't want to say like an I don't care type of personality or aura about them, but it's kind of like that where you could take it or leave it, right? And this is done on purpose because obviously, as chosen ones know, you're always consistently having to fight off narcissists in spiritual warfare, right? And ultimately the enemy. So God purposely gives his chosen ones this, like, well, first off, the spirit of discernment so that you know what is like for you and what's not, or what's healthy and good for you and what's not. And then part and parcel with that is like kind of an aloof personality to where certain things like, so what am I talking about? So say somebody else that's not chosen, say they are working at a job, just say for instance for 5-10 years, just say, and they end up getting let go. This would maybe devastate them. They would be in this big depression, it would cause maybe like everything to fall apart, like it would just be the end of the world, right? But for a chosen one, yeah, they might be kind of down for a day or two, kind of, wish things went a different way, wondering what they're going to do next, what their next steps are, but they will eventually find a replacement job. And within like a month of working that new job, they won't even like remember what happened at the old one. Like they won't even care about, I don't want to say care because that sounds harsh, but you know what I'm saying? Like it won't bother them, right? They will have moved on. And the Lord is saying that it's the same thing with like relationships, because obviously being chosen, you attract a lot of narcissists, right? And so unfortunately, because of attracting a lot of narcissists, as we already know with the narcissist game, their game is to try to bring you down, to take you down, right? Yeah, just hold on, Jackson. To try to bring you down or to take you down. That's what they try to do. So the Lord has made it so that as a chosen one, these things don't like have the oomph that they expect it to have. So say this narcissist, by the time they've met you, you're already later in your 20s, you've been in a couple relationships, they've been in a couple relationships. Maybe in the past when they weren't dealing with specific chosen ones, they moved a certain way because they're narcissists, so they were manipulative, they played mind games, they were abusive mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever it may be. They pulled these moves on past relationships and got a certain outcome or a certain reaction. And even if them and that person broke up, maybe they noticed that that person had a hard time moving forward, or they were still dependent on them. Thank you, Lord. That's your thing. He's saying that he makes chosen ones independent. So of course, every human being gets dependent sometimes. You may be dependent on your income. You may be dependent on a family member or something for a ride to work, But overall, for the most part, the Lord makes the chosen ones independent, right? So they're independent, they're aloof and undetached, and they're discerning, right? And so this triple combination, there's more to chosen ones than this, of course, but this triple combination makes chosen ones unique in and of itself, because the Lord is saying is that not everybody's independent. A lot of people are very dependent, right? And maybe that narcissist is used to dealing with dependent people. That narcissistic boss has had dependent employees in the past that were just so dependent on that paycheck that they were willing to put up with the narcissism, right? But you're not, because you're independent. So you'll figure something else out. Then say if the person is independent, but then say that they get attached and they don't have that aloof persona about them, that perhaps when things start to go south, either at the job or the relationship or the divorce or whatever it may be, they crumble under that pressure, right? And so of course, as humans, we're always going to go through hard times and pressure. That's part of being human. But the Lord is saying that with chosen ones, he's made them from birth with this innate quality that's unique, that allows them to kind of bounce back, right? And so it's this triple combination, and of course other characteristics too, but this triple combination specifically that makes it so that the chosen one will always come out winning. They will always come out victorious on the other end. And of course, this is to do to God's grace, of course, God gracing the chosen one, God being close to them and taking care of them. But the Lord is saying that he has other ones. Like look at David in the Bible, for instance. There were a lot of people in the Bible that followed the Lord, right? But with David specifically, as we know throughout the Bible, the Lord favored him, right? And we now know, in hindsight now, that it's because David was a chosen one, right? And so the Lord is saying that while he has other children that follow him and that he loves and blesses and takes care of and shows grace and mercy to, if they're not specifically a chosen one, that even though the Lord may, obviously help them find a new job or help them find a new partner or things like that, that they are more apt to fall into the crack, right, so to speak, and in a lot of cases, perhaps not even get out. But, and especially if they don't follow him, that's why we see so many people with addictions and suffering through long-standing hardships. Like, we're not talking about a hardship that lasts like a couple months. We're talking years, right? It's because they don't have, well, for one, they're not walking with the Lord. And for two, if they are walking with the Lord, perhaps they don't have that sense of unattachment, that aloofness, that independence about them. Maybe one of those triple combination pieces was missing for them. So therefore, it was when that blow came and blew their house down, like what happens to all of us, it took them so much longer to build it back up, right? And so the Lord is just verifying that if you find yourself to be a chosen one like myself, yes, you might actually go through more hardships and struggles than the average person, because the Lord knows that he's given you this triple combination. So he knows that the Lord is showing to me, he says he's likening it to like students, right, at school, where, there's the one student that has the high IQ, so therefore it's easier for them to achieve the high grades. And then there's the student that maybe is has a disability, a learning disability of some sorts. So therefore it's known to the student and to the teachers, to the staff, that student struggles. They kind of lag behind a bit. So the teacher would be more harsh on the student that gets the good grades getting a failing grade than the student that gets the failing grade getting a failing grade, because they know that that's to be expected, right? So the Lord is likening that example as the same as that he expects more from the chosen ones, because he knows that he's created them with that triple combination from the beginning, so that they would be able to kind of bounce back more so. So the Lord has more pressure on you as a chosen one to rebuild your house, to rebuild it back to where it was, if not better, right? And of course the Lord helps you with that. So my whole point in saying this is that the Lord just wants to reassure you that in the event that you lose a partner decides to not be with you, they choose someone else over you, you will still come out victorious as a chosen one. Nobody or nothing can ever get you down. Trust me, the enemy will spend your whole life, or your whole entire life here, trying to get you down. And yes, sometimes you're going to go through some hard moments. We all do, as being human. It's part of being alive. However, the Lord is saying is that because of if you're a true chosen one, you will have also been born with this combination inside you that makes it that you've maybe noticed in the past that, hey, I was with so-and-so for X amount of years, and when they left me for someone else, yeah, I was hurt, I was devastated, but I moved forward, right? I was able to pick the pieces up and move forward. And yes, anybody could possibly move forward, but you had circumstances against you and you still did it, right? Of course, with the power and grace and favor of the Lord. But irregardless, because of that combination inside of you, that unique combination that's in a minority, it made it so that you were able. So the Lord is telling me that you have had, whether you knew it or not, you've had people in your life, and me included in this, where you've been through a certain scenario or a certain situation, and somebody else that was on the outside looking in, close to you, an associate, like say a fellow coworker, or a family member or a friend, saw what you went through and was thinking, wow, and they were impressed by how you pulled yourself out and away from that and up from that, right? Then they themselves ended up falling into a similar circumstance, and they knew how you felt now. Like, they actually didn't see it from the outside. They internally understood and registered how you felt because they went through the same circumstance. And for them, it was so much harder. And so they were thinking to themselves, like, wow, like, when so-and-so went through ABC situation, I know they fell down all the way, but they managed to get, 80% up within like X amount of time. I here am going through the exact same scenario, but actually not as bad. And it's taking me harder to come back from it. So like an example, again, that the Lord's given me is in regards to, say, a job. Say you were at a company, at a job for just say 10 years. And the company let you go, even though you had built your whole life around that job. Your income, your budget, your family was all based around said job. They let you go because they wanted to hire somebody new, somebody younger, right? Even though you were very tailored to the job, you were the best person for it. Maybe you weren't new, fresh behind the eyes or ears, but you could do it like your second hands, right? Like it came as second nature to you, right? Your hands were just able to do said job, your eyes, your mind, everything, because you'd been trained, being trained of doing this job for so many years that you were technically the best candidate for the job. However, they ended up deciding to go with, they basically rejected you and went with a younger person, thinking that would be a better fit. And come to find that in a lot of ways, that person lacked certain qualities that you had, right? But irregardless of that end of things, on your end, you were sad and kind of shell-shocked for a bit, but you, thanks to the Lord and yourself having these qualities, you were able to find another job in no time, right? The stars aligned, and even though nowhere was hiring, you were able to find something. And it ended up clicking right back into the way that, you went from road A to road B, and you just clicked right onto that road and off you went. Well, the Lord is saying that you had someone around you that went through a similar circumstance. Say they were at their job for 2 years, not 10, and they were in a similar boat or situation, and the same thing happened to them. Well, they ended up hitting an addiction, right? They ended up hitting rock bottom. It really took them down, took them out, right? Or maybe it didn't, but they came back, but it was a harder road for them than it was for you. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a harder road for you than them, but, because you had these inborn qualities, it was easier for you to, pick up the pieces, so to speak, right, than it was for them. And so the Lord is saying that, with that said, there's really nothing that can bring a chosen one down and under completely, because you'll always come out on top. So meaning that if you get to keep your job, you win. If they let you go, the Lord will align things so you find another job that's either of equal value or greater value. So it's not a loss. Meanwhile, that said company is missing certain qualities about you that they took for granted, right? So on the right hand you won, and on the left hand you won, right? Either way, it worked out in your favor, right? Just like with David in the Bible. Another example. Say you're in a relationship with somebody. Say you're with them for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, say, or even longer, and they end up leaving you for somebody else. Well, somebody else might take that so harsh, and they might think you will, but because you're a chosen one, you will just rely on your aloofness and your detachment and your independence to pick up and move forward. And of course, relying on the strength of the Lord to pull you through. And you will either find somebody else, or you'll just stay single and rebuild your life back better than it was before. So either way was a win for you. If you were with your partner, you were winning because you were with your partner of choice. But in the event that the partner chose somebody else, they're now missing you and thinking about things on you. Well, you've moved on to, greener grass, so to speak, right? Other things. And so, so the Lord just wanted me to put this out for somebody, to just basically say that if you're a chosen one and you, this resonates with you and this fits with you and you can make sense of this, it sounds like something that's similar to what you've been through, that the Lord is just saying that, yes, you're not imagining things. He really did give you these specific qualities inside that have accommodated you throughout life, and it was specifically done. It wasn't by accident. It was designed that way so that the Lord could, the Lord knew you were going to have adversity coming against you. And these qualities were purposeful to make it so that you would be able to get out from underneath, basically, the devil's, chokehold of what he was trying to do to you, right? And so that's another reason why the devil has a hard time trying to choke you out completely, is because of these qualities that the Lord gave you. So it's kind of like the devil's always chasing you and you're always, 5 steps ahead. And even if he catches up to you, these qualities make you slip out again, and off it goes again. So thank the Lord for the fact that he made you you, and just know that you will always have the victory and come out on top, even if the odds are stacked against you, even if things that you wanted or that you had built your life around shift and change. That's all a part of life, and the Lord has already designed you specifically with those obstacles in mind, and he knows what he's doing at all times. And just like David was favored in the Bible, so are you, and the Lord will always give you grace and walk with you and strengthen you and guide you through things, just like he did with David, right? So I hope this blesses you. I hope it finds you well, and God bless.